This is the Ball Talk Podcast, presented by Nachos and Analysis.
What's going on, Tiger fans? Today is Thursday, March 16th, and welcome to the 7th episode of the Ball Talk Podcast, presented by Nachos and Analysis. I'm your host, Drew Archer, and let's talk some ball. Well, it's a big weekend on the diamond for the Tigers. Doesn't matter if we're talking baseball or softball. Both squads come out of the weekend undefeated. The ladies over at the softball field win the Clemson Classic. They win all 4 games. They move to 25-1. As I'm recording this, they are playing Charlotte. So hopefully by the time this airs Thursday at 7 o'clock, the Tigers are 26-1. But regardless, still only 1 loss on the season and 3-0 in the Atlantic Coast Conference. They'll get into some more conference play this weekend, and we'll break that down here shortly. But softball extends their home win streak to 23. Put a little asterisk there. Possibly 24 by the time you're hearing this. Again, that dates back to April 16th of last year against Notre Dame. So we're coming up on the year mark, the last time that Clemson softball lost at home. We're exactly, as this airs, 1 month out from that 1 year mark. So great things going on over at McWhorter Stadium. And then the baseball team, they sweep Georgia State. They keep that momentum going after those 2 midweek wins last week, after falling to South Carolina in the rivalry series. So momentum is on the Tigers' side, and they're finding a way to win ball games. They sweep Georgia State, a huge comeback win that first game of the series Friday night with a walk-off grand slam by Billy Amick. We'll talk plenty about that here in a little bit. And then they defeat College of Charleston on Tuesday in the midweek game, which I was listening to William Quackenbush and Brad Owens, the broadcast, Tuesday for that game as I'm driving to Clemson, running a little behind, and he mentions quad 1 wins, and he mentions that might be activate some PTSD for some Clemson fans right now as it relates to basketball. But Tuesday's win against Charleston is a quad 1 win. They're in the 30s in RPI. So it was a big win, whether it was Clemson or Charleston. That was a big matchup, and whoever won that game was going to have a solid win on their record. Off air, before we started recording, when I had Chris Phillips on from the Spurs Up show, he was kind of comparing Clemson and South Carolina's out-of-conference schedule. Clemson by far has the more difficult out-of-conference schedule. They do a good job of scheduling talented programs that are going to set Clemson up for success, to test them for ACC play, but also when it comes to postseason time. And the committee is having to make some decisions like a committee had to do just this past week with basketball. The baseball program tries to make sure that strength of schedule is not an issue. So big win against College of Charleston. They will face them again later this season in Columbia to wrap up the 2-game series between the 2 programs. So as we stated at the top, big weekend for the Tigers. 7 episodes in. I think as I'm saying this, I realize I made the wrong graphic. I'm going to go back and make another graphic. But 7 episodes in. This has been fun. I appreciate all the listeners. Again, if you do not follow us on social media, I don't know what you're doing. Hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Twitter is by far our most active. And then we're releasing all of these episodes on YouTube. I took last week off with YouTube. It's been a chaotic month for me personally and professionally. So all good chaos, but chaotic nonetheless. So last week's episode was not up on YouTube. We're back on YouTube this week. So we appreciate all those that watch on YouTube as well. So, and I think I figured out how to post a video on Spotify. So if you're a Spotify listener, check out the video version. Just don't do it while you're driving. So, this past week, nothing different. Chaotic, busy week. I did not get to watch as much baseball and softball as I would have liked. I watched absolutely zero softball this week, and got a chance to see Friday night's thrilling victory and the first game of the doubleheader Saturday. Unfortunately, agreed to work Saturday night before the university made the decision to make Saturday a doubleheader. So, spent the better half of the day in Doug Kingsmore Stadium, then had to head back to Greenville to go do a little bit of work. So I did not get a chance to see that final game that gave the Tigers a sweep there. So this is probably going to be a short and sweet episode. We're going to hit the high notes, talk about some of the stats, that kind of stuff. And in the chaos that I've mentioned, I forgot to post a Twitter poll. So no Twitter poll this week, but it'll be back next week. So let's start with the ladies first. Let's talk some softball. All right, so the Tigers hosted 3 teams this past weekend: Bryant, UNC Greensboro, and Jacksonville for the Clemson Classic. The Tigers had a chance to play all 3. They ended up playing, UNCG twice. But they opened up the Classic on Friday with a doubleheader and then turned around and played a doubleheader again Saturday due to the weather in Clemson for Sunday. So I will say one bright spot with these doubleheaders and no games on Sunday. Sunday was a nice day to cook a pot of chili, sit on the couch, watch some movies, watch the basketball selection show. Sorry to bring that up, Tiger basketball fans, but there is a bright spot there with no baseball or softball on Sunday. Which, as I'm saying that, the weather's not looking spectacular for this Friday as well. So could see some schedule changes for baseball and softball this week for Friday. So we could get another doubleheader on Saturday, but we'll see. So Friday, the first of the doubleheader, the Tigers faced Bryant in Game 1. That game was run ruled. The Tigers won that 10-1. Clemson opened up the afternoon with a dominating 10-1 run rule victory over Bryant before concluding the evening with a 3-0 win in Game 2 over UNCG. They defeated UNCG 3-0. Thompson started in the circle for her 5th complete game of the season. She struck out 8 batters on her way to winning her 8th game. And this is insane stat right here. So with that performance there, she helps push the Tigers and their 5 pitchers that have seen action so far this season in the circle to maintain a .94 ERA or lower. So every pitcher on Clemson's staff there below a 1 ERA, and the team's ERA currently 0.7. 0.7. So not only is this team getting it done at the plate, but they're also in the circle, and that's the strength of this team. So shout out to the pitching staff there in Mittwater Stadium. Saturday, they turn around and play 2 more. The first game against Jacksonville, the run rule that game as well, winning that 9-0. The Tigers opened up that game with 9 runs off 6 hits in the first inning alone. Then McCubbin secured the 9-0 win as she scored her 5th strikeout, or recorded her 5th strikeout of the game, and improved to 3-0. They wrap up the Clemson Classic in a second matchup with UNC Greensboro. They win this game 6-1. Saturday afternoon. Cagle threw for the full 7 innings. She got 8 strikeouts. The redshirt junior improves to 10-1 in the circle after pitching her 7th complete game of the season. So expectations are high. Expectations are being met with the softball program. And as I mentioned, they're currently playing Charlotte, or actually they will be playing Charlotte here pretty shortly. That is an ACC game that will be on the ACC network. So getting a lot of spotlight this week because this week Virginia comes to town. Sunday's game with Virginia is also a nationally televised game on the ACC network. So getting a little bit later start on Sunday with a 4 o'clock first pitch, but that's due to TV scheduling. Friday, if played, when it's scheduled, should be at 5:30. Scheduled to play Virginia again at 1 o'clock Saturday, and as we said, 4 o'clock on Sunday. So they're now in the point of the season where they're in the meat of their conference schedule. They've looked great so far. Only 1 loss on the season. It was just a 1-0 loss to the best team they've played so far, Tennessee. It was a competitive game, controversial call. But heading into conference play with just 1 loss, you've won in a variety of ways. You've won those close 1-run games. You've also won those blowout wins. Pitching is electric right now. The bats are hot, so you couldn't ask for better momentum, better vibes heading into the conference play here. So big series this weekend with Virginia to keep that win streak going alive at McWhorter Stadium, as well as that undefeated conference record. Before we get to baseball, I want to shout out our sponsor, Pump Monkey Septic Service. You've heard them from the very beginning here on Ball Talk. Owned and operated by a Clemson alum who still lives here in the upstate. Owner Alan Powell and I are good buddies, and business is booming right now for Pump Monkey. Usually when I hit him up with some tickets to the Cajun Cafe, he usually makes it a point to get over there. But he has been so busy with Pump Monkey that he had to turn down the last 2 tickets I offered him. So Pump Monkey Septic Service, located here in the upstate, servicing the upstate. They're very easy to reach on Facebook or Instagram, as well as by phone or text. You can text them or call them at 864-710-2211. Again, 864-710-2211. Septic service is something that you never think about until you need it. So remember the name, remember the number. When the dump's funky, call Pump Monkey. All right, Clemson baseball. As we mentioned, momentum is in the Tigers' favor right now. After dropping the weekend series to rival South Carolina 2-1, the Tigers are hot right now. They follow that up with 6 consecutive wins. We'll look at some of those, but that's the bounce back that you needed after a disappointing series loss to the Gamecocks. It's their second sweep of the season. They swept Georgia State 3-0. They had a doubleheader on Saturday due to the weather on Sunday. So it was 3 games of baseball in a short turnaround, and the Tigers delivered. I'll be totally honest, sitting in the stadium Friday night, watching the Tigers down 8-2 for a lot of the game, it did not look good. A lot of the stadium found their way to the exits. It was not looking good, but trailing 8-2 in the 8th inning, the Tigers scored 2 runs on 3 singles, and a walk in the 9th inning led Amick, who entered the game as a pinch hitter, led him to the plate where he hit a 446-foot homer to left center. And it was Clemson's third walk-off grand slam in history and the first walk-off home run since 2021. I got to shout out this guy sitting out there in right field. He had been at, I don't know if it was a SoCon conference or if they just had some SoCon teams playing at Fluor Field in Greenville, but he had been in Greenville all afternoon, saw the score of the Clemson game. He's like, I'm driving back to Clemson. He's like, I got to get these guys fired up from the moment. He was there maybe an hour, the last third of the game or so. And from the moment he walked up, he was like, Tigers are coming back and winning this game. And he kept saying it over and over and over again. He said they're going to tie this game. It's going to go to 14 innings, but we're going to win it. I think he was just telling himself that to keep himself optimistic. No one believed him. But as the game kept going on, the eighth inning rolled around, and the Tigers started piecing this thing together. It started to honestly become comical because obviously we wanted the Tigers to win, and the more runs the Tigers score, the more runners in scoring position that they put themselves out there. It became believable. And if you would have asked us when he walked up, do you believe this guy is Tigers coming back? Absolutely not. We were packing it up, counting it a loss, ready to just take on the doubleheader the next day. And Amick comes up to the plate, bases loaded, and absolutely crushes the ball out of there. I believe it was number 1, the right fielder for Georgia State, literally just stood out there in right field for probably 2 or 3 minutes, just in disbelief. The rest of his teammates had left the field, ran to the dugout. Clemson's out on the field celebrating, and he's just out there just standing, just staring. Maybe you heard a few comments from the Clemson fans, but I will say it was the first time they'd heard anything, or he had heard anything from any Clemson fans all night. What a amazing win Friday night. Literally everything the Tigers needed to happen in the 8th and the 9th inning happened. I was telling a couple people around me, when was the last time that Clemson baseball strung 2 innings together like that to pull off a victory in that fashion? It's been a while, but it was so fun showing up the next morning to help cook some delicious jambalaya for the doubleheader. Literally everybody that walked up, they were like, I still can't believe last night. And nor could I. It was one of the more exciting moments in Doug Kingsmore, I feel like, in a long time. Shout out to Amick. He's been hot lately and got the win for the Tigers. Then the Tigers, like I said, turn around and have a doubleheader Saturday and Sunday. The Tigers scored a lot of runs. They scored 9 in Friday's game, 10 Saturday, and 10 Saturday. I almost said Sunday. So a total of 21s. Excuse me. I'm off my game. A total of 20 runs on Saturday between the 2 games. They win 10-2 in game 1, and then 10-7 in game 2 of the day, 3 of the series to get the sweeps. Second sweep of the season, like we said, and on a completely different note that has absolutely nothing of an importance to baseball and the productivity of the team, but switching it up a little bit with the uniforms. Now, Saturday was out of necessity with it being a doubleheader, so they stuck with the purple jerseys for game 3 instead of the normal whites on Sunday. So they had the purple jerseys with the sweep hats, which looked nice. And then the midweek game with Charleston went with the all whites and the all orange cap as well, where you a lot of times see that purple hat with orange bill. So mixing it up a little bit with uniforms. And on that topic with Charleston Southern, we've already talked about it. The big win against Charleston. Familiar there with the coach, former coach of South Carolina. He's had some success against Clemson. Always a solid program. They're favored to win their conference. But a big win to be able to pull that out in a midweek game against College of Charleston. The Tigers, they took a 1-0 lead in this series. It's their 6th win in a row and improved to 11-6. While the Cougars fall to 11-5. The two teams will conclude their series later this month in Columbia. I believe it's Segra Park. Clemson scored 3 runs in the 8th inning to make that magic happen because they were down. So you have to like the fight you're seeing out of this team. They're stringing wins together. They're putting the bat on the ball. The pitching is looking better. Speaking of pitching, Sunday's second game, I had to listen to this one on the radio back to Greenville, but how about 7 strikeouts with Caden Grice in 2 innings? Or not, it can't be 2 innings. I guess 3 1/3. I can't remember exactly what it was, but 3 consecutive strikeouts the first inning. He came in and was throwing heat. So you like to see him, at least his confidence there on the mound. Still has some work to do at the plate, but Coach is sticking with him. He was in a DH role against College of Charleston on Tuesday. So hopefully Caden can power through this slump and work his way back in the batting lineup consistently. What's next for the Tigers? They have a series with Duke this weekend. First ACC series of the season. Friday's game, if it goes on as scheduled, will be Friday at 7 o'clock on the ACC network. Then Saturday at 3 and Sunday at 1. At the time of this recording, Duke is 10-6 right now and 1-2 in the conference. Then next week, the Tigers have 2 midweek games with Winthrop on Tuesday at home, and then they hit the road to Kennesaw State to play them Wednesday at 6 o'clock. So another 5-game week for this baseball team. They started this win streak on a 5-game week, so really look forward to that. Again, busy, crazy schedule for myself personally. I'll get the chance to go out Friday, weather pending. Will not be at Saturday and Sunday's game. So really looking forward to listening and following along on the radio broadcast. And y'all on Twitter, y'all hit Nachos and Analysis up and keep me informed while I'm down at the beach working this weekend. So that's it for episode 7. I'm hoping this video comes out all right for those y'all watching on YouTube. I don't know if it's my internet or my camera or what, but just randomly the camera, the video just kind of lags. So still working out the kinks with video, but appreciate all of those that have been watching online. It's probably not any surprise, but the South Carolina episode with Chris Phillips and Monty Lee, our biggest watched episode on YouTube for obvious reasons, got shared by a lot of Gamecocks. So, but follow us, like us, subscribe on all these platforms, and we appreciate you, the listener, for checking in with us each week. Join me next week, and we'll talk some ball. Peace.